The Hur'q problem has been dealt with, more or less, and now the clock ticks over to 2411, and the Khitomer Alliance is seeking to bring Odo's Dominion into its partnership. Now, the Alliance is not the Federation. Each member of the Alliance, the KDF, the Romulans, the Cardassians, Starfleet, and now the Dominion, is still a completely separate but allied entity, unified by a series of treaties and a general consensus that working together is better than working against one another. Bringing the Dominion on board is not going to be a smooth process, as the Dominion has many reforms to enact, and not everyone will be pleased for this seeming 180 that it's about to pull in certain regards. In the meantime, Alliance vessels will continue to be setting out to repair the Hur'q's fractured culture and assist where it can. But the events post-Dominion War have shaken up political tensions within the Klingon Empire. Chancellor Hur'q, who has been the leader since 2393, supposedly killed the former Chancellor in single combat behind closed doors. Well, it turns out that Martok lived, a captive on a sonar prison in the Briar Patch, and without reiterating everything that I've already covered in the story series, you can already see why this may cause some issues. It brings to light that Martok was not slain in honourable combat, and therefore the Chancellorship was not won by right. Despite all these recent events casting a shade over Hur'q, it's important to note that the man did have his supporters and appealed to the conqueror's side of the Klingon people. After all, when he rose to power, it was to oppose Martok's more diplomatic reign and to take the Klingons to war against Species 8472, who had usurped their way into multiple Alpha and Beta Quadrant powers. In hindsight, it was an event that even the Federation, who later ended up in a war against the Klingons over this whole thing, admitted that it was to the benefit of all and that it helped uncover the Iconian threat in the long run. So, as we move into a story that is centred around the Klingons, perhaps it's best to see things from a Klingon point of view from within the Empire. So join me as we leave Admiral Mark Hale of the USS Armiger fresh into the new year of 2411 and wind back the clock to just before he even arrived in 2409 2 years ago. We're joining the crew of a Burrell-class bird of prey, the IKS Kos'karii, near the tail end of the Federation-Klingon War, and stepping into the shoes of Ro'Ka Kon Relorr, second officer of this warship. We join Ro'Ka on the bridge at the close of her shift. The Kos'karii has been dispatched to meet up with the IKS Segpa for a reason that we are about to learn. We move on over to talk with Kagan, the third officer of this vessel, to see if he has finished his paperwork. Yes, even Klingon vessels have paperwork to file.
The end of the shift is near, at last. I have updated the duty logs. Not that there was a lot to report. Still, we have our duties. You will need to approve the logs before the captain arrives. Unless you are fond of cleaning up after his targ.
Very well, Lieutenant.
The logs are up on my station now. Use it to transfer them into the record of battle. Ha! Battle. The only battle we face is against the forces of boredom. We are warriors of the Empire. We should be finding glory against Starfleet in honorable combat, not flying through empty space.
I hate to break it to you, idiot, but the KDF works in space. Still, I agree that we are ill-suited for tedium. Nevertheless, the logs need to be filed to keep things up to date, but sometimes it's like the captain is choosing assignments that keep us away from combat, more than in the thick of things.
I hope the logs didn't bore you too much. I almost fell asleep writing them. If you'd like something more entertaining, I've made some adjustments to the standard disruptor training program on the holodeck. I think you'll find them interesting.
I think anything would be better than just firing my disruptor at unfeeling drones.
Captain on the bridge!
Captain Jurlak runs a tight ship, but there are many here dissatisfied with his approach to the war. He seems to place survival a little too much over glory, and we've not seen battle for months under his command. But as second officer, it's not my duty to question him.
Nuk nech! I see you and Kagan kept my ship from blowing up during your watch. Kahless would be proud. I relieve you. Return in 6 hours, Lieutenant. You are dismissed.
Captain, so the Third Klingon War against Starfleet has been raging for 4 years now, since J'mpok tore up the Khitomer Accords that were holding back the Empire from doing what needed to be done to protect the Quadrant. Starfleet objected to the way the Empire handled things, which, as a reminder, was to get things done, and over the following years, well, stuff declined until war was declared. Ro'Ka, a KDF science officer, was around from before the war, but has seen the necessity of pushing back against the Federation, which finds itself frequently mired in red tape, unable to act under its own weight at times.
The holodeck is initializing. Not and the training program is ready. You may enter now.
Following Kagan's advice, we are going to test out the training program before we hit the rack. 6 hours is enough time to sleep, but I could do with actually wearing myself out a bit first. However, it seems Kagan is not the programmer he thinks he is. This simulation is pathetic. The holograms don't even aim correctly. At this rate, I may as well be shooting at a dead targ. At least I could eat it afterwards. We vanquish our fearsome foes, and completely unfulfilled, we decide to return to bed. We take the lift to the living quarters, and in contrast to the Federation's, Klingon racks are little more than canvas over a frame with no comfort in mind. Apparently some Federation vessels, like their larger cruisers, even have personal quarters for every individual. What a waste of space.
Our disruptors gather dust in the lockers here. We need to find battle, and soon.
Any news from the bridge? Will we be preparing for battle soon?
Since 2393, the Klingon Empire has taken over the Gorn hegemony, allied with the Orion Syndicate and the Norsicans, and now many of those races have members in the KDF.
I dreamt we hadn't run out of blood wine last week. If only that were true. I think Captain Jurlak knows something we don't.
I should hope so, he's the bloody captain.
The Rocta genome this thing spits out isn't fit for a targ.
It is hard to sleep when we could be in battle at any time.
If you're finding it that hard to sleep, I'm sure we could arrange to have you run laps until you collapse.
Lieutenant Duran's Parmar works on Kronos. I went through training with him. Great engineer, terrible gambler.
Whoever programmed the replicator should be shot. It can't make anything close to decent food.
There is only one worthy human delicacy. It is called haggis.
Have you tried that human drink? Prune juice? Ugh, it is a warrior's drink.
I shall try these prunes and juice of haggis. Now everybody shut up, I'm going to bed.
You're like the Sigma. We're ready to receive your prisoner.
Acknowledged. We're beaming the piece of Bakhtok to you, now. I recommend you muzzle him. The sound of his voice is irritating.
If he irritates me, I will feed him to my favorite targ, piece by piece. Shields! Raise shields!
Kapla, you're alive. This is First Officer Duran. We have sustained damage from a surprise attack. I need you to triage injured crew down there and get them back into fighting condition.
On it. Fortunately, Ro'Ka excels at medical and scientific training, and we set about triage. Most of our crew are fortunate, in that few of them have major wounds.
Swoon. Ha! It will leave a glorious battle scar. Yes.
It seems we were struck with our shields down, in order for them to cause this much damage in only one pass.
I've taken worse. Thanks for patching me up.
Merely a flesh wound.
Here is the situation. We took custody of a Federation prisoner from the IKS Segpa. Almost immediately after transport, a Starfleet cruiser showed up and attacked. We took some severe damage, but we were able to get our shields up before they could beam over. They've launched shuttles and have boarded the ships on the lower decks.
They're on board?
Our security teams are tied up all over the ship, so I need your help securing the lower deck. Grab a rifle from the armory locker and then make your way to the lower decks. I don't know how they were able to enter our shuttle bay, so check the bodies for anything that can give us a clue as to how they were able to board us. One or two of them might be carrying something useful.
Well, let's hope these targets actually fight back. We arm ourselves with a bat'leth and a disruptor and step out into the corridor. Immediately on our right we can see an emergency force field has sealed a breached section of the hull. Lucky, I would not have liked to have gone out in my bunk. That is a very boring, mundane and dishonourable way to die. Stepping into the lower decks we are greeted by more damage, several fires and deceased comrades. Standing nearby the flames we can see the dull grey silhouettes of Starfleet, probably their executioners, so we must avenge our friends. We push ahead and spot another lurking in the glow ahead in the sparks of a misfiring conduit. Searching the bodies reveals little of interest, so we push on, finding more intruders as we go, passing several more of our dead crew, while Starfleet hangs around nearby to their fresh kills. Clearly I just missed this conflict, and many have fallen to the sneak attack. Thanks to the innovation of personalised shielding, melee combat is even more practical, as a charging warrior can shake off several shots, and a physical hit is not stopped by deflectors. Eventually we find several Starfleet officers that were trying to access one of our control consoles. Knowing that Starfleet enjoys sabotage when they can, we check the device, only to discover a message in the logs of the defeated officers, a message from one of our ships and encrypted. We run the decryption.
This is Captain Hur'q. I have the prisoner you seek, and I do not wish to be captured or killed. I will permit your boarding shuttles to land on my ship in exchange for my release once you have the prisoner. My crew must never learn of this, so arm your boarding parties and expect resistance once you board.
Hur'q, that traitor. All the dead here are on his hands.
You recovered that message from the Federation borders? My suspicions about our Pataka the Captain have been confirmed. I've been seeing signs of Hur'q's cowardice and incompetence for months now, but finally, this is the proof I need to challenge him.
Yes, as a traitor he needs to be removed.
I see that you are near the brig. I want you to talk to the Federation prisoner there. Find out why he is so valuable, and then report back directly to me. Qapla'!
And Qapla'. As the neighbouring corridor opens up, more Starfleets beam in. They're getting uncomfortably close to their rescue attempt, so we storm in to assist our defenders.
The prisoner is still here. Starfleet's rescue attempt has failed.
Good. I wish to talk with him. Approaching the cell, we can see a black-clad human lounging back, presenting a carefree calm. Who is this individual?
Something on your mind, Second Officer? You do know your captain's a traitor, right? And now two of you know. That's a start. Tell me, does Duran know about Hur'q's dishonor as well? Well then, I'm guessing you'll be first officer before too long. Can't imagine Duran letting something like that slide.
How do you know so much about our crew, Starfleet?
It's my business to know things. If I were you, I'd check in with soon-to-be Captain Duran. She'll probably want to talk about your promotion.
I'm afraid First Officer Duran is indisposed. Permanently. Report to the bridge at once. Unless you wish to join her in Tovokor.
Well, I was half right. Congratulations on your promotion, First Officer.
The captain has dishonored himself. You are the next ranking officer. It is your right to challenge him to a duel, to the death. If you defeat him, the ship is yours. Go. You know what must be done.
As if to punctuate the point, we step back into the corridor filled with our dead crew, with Doran defeated. Now I am first officer. As second officer, it was not my place to question or challenge our captain. But now, Jurlak stands at the centre of his bridge over the corpse of his first officer, while the crew wait to see how this resolves, undoubtedly asking themselves if her actions will be recorded as mutiny or as a lawful challenge. The role of the first officer on a Klingon vessel is to represent the will of the crew to the captain, and right now, I think the crew wants his blood.
It took you long enough. Take your station. We have work to do if we are to survive. Well, what are you waiting for? The blessing of Hale? Do as you're told, or I will find someone who will.
I am Ro'Ka, daughter of Koril, and I'll take my place as first officer. I serve the captain, but I stand for the crew.
Oh, you stand for the crew, eh? You think you can kill me and take my command? Duran was a better warrior than you, and she now sings in Stovokon. You will fare no better. Well, think. We fight a war we cannot win. Not even Tukuzma could defeat the Federation. And they were far weaker then. Why should we die for Jimpok's folly?
This is not for the Chancellor. This is for the crew of the Kos'karii, and a captain who throws his warriors overboard to keep his own head above water doesn't deserve to keep it.
Young fool! I plan on living a long and prosperous life. I give you one last chance. Stand down, or your corpse will be cooling on the deck next to Duran's. What say you?
I say Grethor is too good for you. You should be food for the serpents that share the ship's name.
As you wish. I've killed one hero today. Why not litter the deck with the body of another? Draw your weapon and try to die well, fool.
And with that, Jurlak attacks. Note how he goes for the disruptor first, but my Batleth has seen much use today, and I'm all warmed up. Then what does that make you?
Give me warrior's death. Ha! Well fought! An honorable victory! Under Imperial law, you are now the captain. I will enter the change of command into the record of battle. I am Kagan, son of Kur. I now take my place as first officer. I serve the captain, but I stand for the crew.
Acknowledged, Kagan. How are we looking? When can this ship fight?
Engines and shields are online, sir. Engineering expects to restore our weapons soon. The cloaking device may take a bit longer, however.
No cloak? Then if we cannot hunt, we shall rampage.
The Starfleet vessels that attacked us are still in the area, and a Segpa is moving to engage them in battle. There is glory to be found there. What are your orders, Captain?
We fight.
Congratulations, warrior.
Martok? Ah yes, the dead Chancellor gives his blessing. With the Kos'karii now under Ro'Ka's command, we order Jurlak's body to be taken away. But what of his pet targs? They'll go hungry without their master. I think we can take care of two things at once. Taking our place in the captain's chair, we ready ourselves to join the war against the Federation. If they cannot see that we have the right of things, then we shall beat them until they do. But yeah, I'm liking the revamp so far. I have yet to complete it since its overhaul, so this is mostly new content to me, so forgive me if I miss a thing here or there. It's surreal to be winding back the clock to before the Iconian War, but this is a solid foundation to help establish the state of the Empire for the upcoming turmoil. So, I hope you'll rejoin me as we explore the revamped intro of Star Trek Online. I've been Rick, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks again, and goodbye.